speaker tonight, Jan Weber-Savet. Jan is a certified life force energy healing practitioner and holistic life coach and meditation guide. She has a master's degree in clinical psychology and is certified in chakra balancing, intuitive energy healing, and grounding meditation. She is the mother of 3 successful adult daughters, and I will also add, is the wife of a successful man husband, because I know she contributes to his success. And she has enjoyed a long and happy marriage, and her spiritual inspiration is based on the Baha'i teachings. Jan became a Baha'i in college in 1981 at IU. And I have personally had the pleasure and honor of being a friend of Jan since about 1995. I only had 3 children at the time. That tells you how long we've been friends. And I also experienced my first guided meditation with Jan while we were in the sitting in the middle somewhere of the Chattahoochee National Forest in Dawson, Georgia. It was at the very base of the starting point of the Appalachian Trail, Appalachia, some people say, but we were in the middle of the woods, and Jan led a guided meditation, and it was wonderful. And so that was my first introduction to what she did. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Jan. I think it's so timely given what we're going through now, the uncertainty, and we could all use some spiritual meditation and self-care. So I will let you take it over, Jan.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's such a delight to be here tonight. And that was an awesome trip that we made. I would never have hiked that far if it hadn't been for you. You are such an inspiration and a cheerleader and a guide for me, for sure. So I think I agree with Lisa. It's very timely to be able to speak about meditation tonight. These times that we're enduring right now are really unexpectedly challenging. I don't think there's ever been an experience like this in any of our lifetime. And it's challenging each of us in different ways. It's not the same for any 2 people. But I think that the nature of the unexpected challenges and the emotions that are evoked by those is something that we all share. So I wanted to tell you about my experience with meditation as being another tool really that you can have in your toolbox for coping with the challenges that we're all undergoing. What I've discovered through my work with meditation and the energy field is that we have, all of us share a spiritual background here, all being members or knowing about the Baha'i teachings. But there's also a link between our physical and our spiritual selves that I would like to explore tonight. So in order to do that, I'm just going to give you a little brief thumbnail sketch of sort of how I came to this knowledge. So I wanted to just give you a little glimpse of how I started out in the world, because I think this will inform you a little bit about how I got here. I was kind of a strange child, sort of in my own world, and I have a little picture of myself that I thought you might like to see. This is me with my favorite pet. It was a little lizard. So I was just a child that I would just run around in the woods and played with animals. But as you can see from that picture, when I got to school, I was that kid that everybody made fun of. Okay, they had their bright red hair, which you can't see in the picture. It used to be a lot brighter when I was younger. I had the thick glasses. I was fat. And it was just like, it was not a happy thing for me to be with other kids at school. So that just, I guess, encouraged me to sort of go my own way. And I always had a very close connection with my spiritual self, but I didn't really know how to manage that. So, I went on through life and I was sort of looking for, well, where do I belong? And when I got older, I did well in school. I was always very bright. But I was always searching for something, that the reason for our existence here. I guess I always looked for something more to life. And when I encountered the Baha'i teachings in college, I was so attracted by the way the Baha'i faith puts in, uh, it forms a connection between all the spiritual teachings that I had heard about, between the Christian faith that I was raised with. And I always used to ask myself, well, what are all these other faiths in the world? Would I just automatically be whatever I was raised, or would I investigate for myself and make a choice? And I love the way the Baha'i faith teaches that all of the spiritual traditions have a relationship with each other, and that they follow one another in complexity and completeness. Until today, the Baha'i teachings are able to really unite the world, and the writings of the Prophet founder Baha'u'llah are very, very moving and meaningful to me. Now, when I first became a Baha'i, it was challenging for me to read those writings because they have a lot of very complex language, but yet when I was with the Baha'i community, I felt this amazing love, and I knew that this is where I belonged. And so I want to speak to that feeling of love, that feeling of presence, because I discovered that that's something that can be learned and accessed. And I believe it's referred to quite often in our writings when we talk about polishing the mirror of the heart. I think we've all heard of the teachings of how our heart can be likened to a beautiful reflective mirror. And that when we go through life, sometimes, we have difficult, challenging experiences that lodge there almost like dust on that beautiful mirror. And we need certain practices to polish that mirror so that it can once again reflect the divine light. And we have beautiful prayers in the Baha'i teachings that are really, really helpful in doing this. And for me, I found that meditation is also a way of polishing my heart. And so I'll go a little bit into how I discovered that. I think I retained some of my childhood characteristics of being rather shy and sort of wanting to be in the background. And some people that have known me a long time, like Lisa, can probably testify to the fact that I would not be giving a talk, and even having all of you look at me would probably just totally throw me off when I was younger. But now that I've learned about my energy and the energy of presence, it somehow has opened my heart to the fact that I can connect with each one of you through that. And so the way that I had to learn this, it may come naturally to many of you, but for me, I had to learn it by the practice of meditation. So I was taught a form of meditation where I draw upon the energy of the earth. It's really interesting because, the prayers always take you up. They take you into the spiritual realms, almost as if you're leaving the earth, even leaving your body. And I think I was very good at that. I used to just like, poop, I'm gone. But I discovered something really important, that while we are in this earth realm, and while we have these physical bodies, we need to have all the energy of the physical supporting us as we arise to the spiritual. And so I began by reading a book that I got at the library. It talked about chakras, which are energy centers that are throughout our physical body. And there's 7 of them. And, I won't go into detail about what the chakras are, but just to give you a basic idea of how they work, they're sort of like transformers for this earth energy as we draw it up into our physical bodies. And as it gets higher, the energy becomes more refined. So when it gets up to the level of the heart, it becomes very refined. And then, it rises up until we have a spiritual connection. But the lower energy centers are also very important. And if they're not working well, our physical body can be deprived of energy that it needs. So I had a very interesting experience as I became aware of this energy. I first learned about the feeling, how it feels in my body, from a Baha'i friend, Cecilia Smith. Some of you may know her. She's a great Baha'i from Cleveland. And she taught me Reiki, which is sort of an antique form of energy management, of this chi, this prana that we all have in our bodies. And as I became aware of the sensation of the energy movement, I noticed that a long-standing physical condition that I had, I noticed that that part of the body that was sick, so to speak, I couldn't feel any energy there. And I was like, this can't be a coincidence. It was my left leg. So I couldn't feel any energy in the left leg, but I could feel it normally in my right leg. And I was like, well, I wonder what would happen if I could get the energy to go through that leg. And so I just started, I won't bore you with how I did it, but I started to coax the energy to come back into that left side. And lo and behold, a serious medical condition that I'd had for about 15 years of my life and wasn't able to be treated with the medicine we have today, it just started to fade away. And I was amazed because it had really hampered me and caused me to miss out on a lot of things through the 15 years that I suffered with it. And I was like, well, why didn't anybody tell me this sooner? That I could do this through the power of my own, the healing power of my own hands, basically. And so I became very enthusiastic about telling people about how you need to do practices that can get this energy, this chi, this prana distributed throughout your physical body. And it supports your body so that it's less likely to become diseased and imbalanced. At least that has been my experience. And in some cases, it can actually roll back a physical disability that a person has had. And as I studied this, I became so fascinated. I went and studied with a lady in Los Angeles. Her name was Deborah King. And she's the one that certified me with the life force energy healing process. And I met other people there that had had similar experiences with, oh my gosh, all kinds of things, from mental disorders to stuff like MS and diabetes. I mean, it really runs the gamut. So again, I'm from a medical family. My husband is a doctor. I believe in medicine, don't get me wrong. When something is manifestly wrong with the physical body, we need to seek a skilled physician and get assistance to have it healed. However, this type of energy meditation and energy healing that I've become a practitioner of has been wonderful for maintaining my health. I have clients, private clients, that I assist in this way, and it works alongside their treatment by physicians. So I believe it's really part of our whole body health. And the thing that I would like to bring out is that as I became more proficient in having this energy circulating in my body, I noticed something really interesting in my spiritual experience. My prayers became so much more powerful and connected. And I could go to the holy writings of my faith, and the ones that had been a challenge to me before, all of a sudden, it was like a veil had been opened, and I was able to read them with such more clarity and depth. And I realized that this meditation practice was actually helping me with my spiritual practice. And the other curious thing was that other abilities that I had not had before started to sort of unfold gradually. Subtle changes in my ability to relate to people, in my ability to express myself, in my ability to share a calm and peaceful state that I had in my heart. I found that I could share that with other people through meditation. And that to me is, I feel very strongly that that's part of our life purpose, is to be able to cultivate a state of spiritual connection and peace in our hearts and be able to impart that to those that we're with. And I discovered that the more I practiced this, the more I was able to share that, so that it's almost like I noticed that people's behavior to me would change. Now they would relate to me in a different way. And it wasn't really what I said or what I did, but it was just merely presence, just the energy that we were able to share. And I became aware that I could just lift people's moods in that way. I have a game that I play when I go to well, before this quarantine where we all had to stay at home. I used to go to our little post office here, which is it's a very small room, and people all are standing together waiting to get their stamps and mail their packages, and they're usually in a very dour mood and impatient, and the clerks are overworked, and people are like, why is it taking so long? And so I used to go in there and I would just stand and just radiate this energy of the heart into the room. And pretty soon people would become more lighthearted and they would start to joke with each other and smile. And the guy behind me in the line would start to tell goofy stories and jokes, and just like it lightened the room. And I think that that's something that we can all cultivate, especially at this time. We're in what is this, the fourth week of quarantine here. And, it's starting to get heavy, and people are sick, and they're dying out there. And, it's tempting to feel like we have to participate by feeling that pain and that agony. And we don't, we do feel it. Yet I believe that our most important role right now is to be able to take that light that we have in our heart, no matter how we cultivate it, if it's through meditation or prayer or gardening or baking or whatever it is, to somehow get that out into the world. And I know people are feeling it because I see everyone is trying to contribute in whatever way they can on the internet, and I bet you all are too. But this is just my take on my story, how it worked for me to open my heart and be able to really project that heart energy and that spiritual and divine energy to brighten the world around me, and hopefully relieve some of the suffering that we see. And so my time is almost up, but I'll just make another note that I was just chatting with Milena before, and she spoke about how seeing some of the things on the news had really triggered her. She felt tearful, and those emotions that we feel, it's important to those are energy of a certain type, and they need to flow through us, and they need to be expressed. And so, it's good to shed a tear. It's good to express your anger in safe ways, maybe through journaling about it, or, saying it in a way that it speaks out for justice. So all emotions have their value, and they all have an important part to play in keeping our energy moving freely and keeping our physical and spiritual health in good order. So I feel that meditation can be a good tool in helping us to do that. And energy healing is another topic that I could speak on for another night. But I have a website, healingme.us. There's some interesting information on there, guided meditations for various purposes. And if anyone would like to try this chakra meditation that Lisa mentioned that we did together, I've been having guided meditations on Facebook. I use Facebook Live because I don't have the Zoom account that you all do. So, I invite you to try it, see if it is helpful. And I have these beautiful writings here, but I think that I don't want to just have my own voice be the only one heard. So there's some beautiful writings from the hidden words, which speak about the light of the heart. And if we wanted to, we could take turns reading those. And then I'll close with my favorite quote on meditation. It's from Baha'u'llah, and it just speaks about the effect that meditation can have on us. And now I assure thee, O servant of God, that if thy mind become empty and pure from every mention and thought, and thy heart attracted wholly to the kingdom of God, forget all else besides God, and come in communion with the Spirit of God, then the Holy Spirit will assist thee with a power which will enable thee to penetrate all things, and a dazzling spark which enlightens all sides, a brilliant flame in the zenith of the heavens, will teach thee that which thou dost not know of the facts of the universe and of the divine doctrine. Baha'u'llah. So thank you. I'd now love to open it for questions and discussion.